Alright, good morning YouTube. Alright, so we got this 2002 GMC Yukon here. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a check over. From what I understand, got a little bit of possibly something leaking from the passenger side rear end or the right rear. Don't really see anything right off top evident. However, I do see some spatter marking. You see it, it's all the way around the tire. Usually when you see stuff like that, you got one or two things going on, especially if it's on the rear end. One, either you're going to have wheel seal leaking, or two, which is even worse, possible rear brake caliper leaking. Alright, so we can kind of just check things out. Everything seems to be dry right now on the outside, but if we come around here, you will definitely be able to see if there is in fact anything going on. Alright, so we got the same type of spattering marks on the inside. Wheel is dry. What we got going on here? We do have a little bit of what appears to be leakage right there, so I think that is enough to at least warrant tearing this thing down and seeing what's possibly going on with that. Alright, now that we got that off, let's kind of just take a quick look around. Do you see any burn marking or anything else like that from maybe axle oil or brake fluid that may be being burnt by the heat up of the rear brakes when you're stopping? Don't really see too much in the way of absolute evidence that anything is really leaking at the moment in time. Everything seems to be fairly dry in there. However, still think that possibly warrants a little bit further inspection. You can see right in here, if you ever want to see what your brake pads look like and when it might be getting close to be time for them to be changed, if you look right there, that's your inside brake pad right there. That little divot mark right there in the middle, that is called your wear indicator. And when you can no longer see that wear indicator and that brake pad is completely flat all the way across, it's time to change these brakes. So for the DIYers, everything like that, that's just a bullet point, something to check on if you think that your brake pads might need to be replaced. Going forward, I do see a little bit of what looks like possible oil or brake fluid. At this point, definitely ruled out a wheel seal, but we may have something going on with this caliper. Maybe the diaphragm on the caliper piston may be leaking. So we will get a consensus on that and see what we got. So we're going to tear this down a little bit further. I'm going to get this caliper off of here and look at the inside of it and see what we got going on. Alright, so just so you know, if you are going to tackle this on this particular vehicle, now this will go for the Chevy 1500. It will also go for the Chevy Tahoe. They're pretty much all the same equipment, all the same. The 1500 series, the 2500 series may differ a little bit. However, what you're going to need is your standard 3/8 drive ratchet, also a 14mm shallow well, just because of clearance issues. Also, if you notice right here, that collar right there is slotted. So what can happen is, as you're trying to loosen this stuff up, that collar may start moving on you. Okay, So if that ends up being the case, you will need to get a 21 millimeter and put it right here over the slotted groove to lock that in place so you can break the bolt loose. You have one here and then one right here at the bottom. So that's just a little tip, so that way you're on point when you start to try to do something like this. Alright, so now that we got the bolts out of the caliper and we are now ready to take the caliper off, what you want to do is get you a large screwdriver or a pry bar, and try to find a good spot that you might be able to get your pry bar in, and just kind of tweak the caliper forward just a little bit, so that way it'll depress that piston in there just a little bit and give you enough free space to slide the caliper off the brake pads, because those will be separate in a lot of cases of the caliper itself. Alright, so now that we got the caliper off, this is what a lot of your assemblies are going to look like post removal of the caliper. This particular setup for even for the rear is what's called a dual piston setup. There are going to be cases, especially for rear setup, that you're going to only find one piston that's going to be a large one right here in just the center. That's going to be for lighter vehicle applications mostly, but for more heavy duty, you'll a lot of times find dual pistons on the rear. So just as I suspected, this piston right here, the diaphragm, is leaking brake fluid. So that's going to be an indicator that you are going to need to get a replacement caliper. They can be relatively expensive, depending on the vehicle. But again, if we look down through here, don't really see too much in the way of a wheel seal or anything of that nature leaking. Again, if you look, see if I can get you a good view. Everything in here is dry, so that kind of rules that out. Got a little bit of cleanup that we're going to have to do on the rear pad here. Got a little bit of excessive fluid leakage, but outside of that, that is going to be how to remove the caliper and check for any leakage or anything else like that. So what we're going to do for now is we're going to get all this cleaned up. I'm going to contact the customer, let them know my findings, and I will be getting back to you shortly. Alright, so I just spoke with the customer, gave him my findings and what my suggestion is, which is going to be to replace this caliper. So they've decided to go ahead with the replacement. So we're going to go ahead and tear off the rest of this bracket, which is held on by two 19 millimeter and depending on setup 21 mil, these two bolts right here. If you take those out, this whole assembly right here will come off the rotor assembly, and that usually gets replaced and swapped out as an entire assembly. Also too, one thing to keep in mind, especially if you're doing one of these jobs by yourself, one of these guys right here, this is something that you want to get your hands on. You can find these at your parts house and everything else like that for about somewhere between you know, 60-70 bucks, you know, plus tax. You don't need the greatest and best to be able to do one of these jobs. This is a vacuum bleeder, so basically you will hook this once you replace the assembly. You'll hook this to the bleeder valve and use this as a vacuum pump to pull the fluid out and pull all the air out of the system, because if you don't and you just try to put the system back together, you're not going to have any brakes, and that could be very bad. Alright, now so just so you know, the way you're going to replace this caliper, this right here, this is your brake line. You're going to have what's called banjo gaskets on the bolt side and the flange side. So what you're going to have to do, once you get everything all unbolted and everything, you want to have it braced up on the rotor so you got clearance and it's already held in place, because it might be a little tight. But what you want to do is you want to break this loose. Alright, anyway, what you want to do here is you want to break this bolt loose right here, because that holds the flange and everything for the banjo gaskets and everything to the caliper itself. So your fluid actually runs through here and everything. It's a sealed contact that applies the brakes. When you let off the brake, the fluid goes back through the line, goes back to the reservoir. If you got any leaks in here whatsoever, you're going to start getting air in your brake lines. You're going to start losing your brakes. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's over time. But either way, that's not good.
So why is it good that you gotta go get the new one and bring it back as quick as possible?
One of the reasons is the more fluid that you got leaking out, the more air is going back up into the system, so the harder it's going to be to pull a vacuum back on the system, because it's a closed system, so no air can be in there whatsoever. So what will happen is, if you get air bubbles into the system, they'll circulate back to the brake booster and the reservoir, and you'll lose your hydraulic pressure, and after that you'll just start losing your brakes, because the calipers themselves won't work anymore.
So it's good to go get the new one and swap it out as soon as you take the old one off.
Right. So after that, what you want to do, since this is an entire assembly right here, what you want to do is you want to take this whole caliper bracket and everything off and send it back with your core for the replacement. Alright, we got the caliper back, got the new caliper on. We're getting ready to do a vacuum bleed on it. So I'm gonna be walking you through how to do that a little bit right there.
Alright, YouTube, we back with the correct caliper. Ben, what you doing exactly?
I'm doing a vacuum bleed on the system. So basically what I'm doing is pulling a negative pressure on the line since I had to break the system. When you do that, like I said before, it lets air into the system. So you got to pull all that back out. If you don't, then you ain't gonna have no brakes.
So you got to get the air pocket removed. So what's that machine called?
All right, so this right here, it's called a vacuum gauge. You can use it to measure air restriction on your air filter for your intake and everything else like that. It's also a tool used to pull air out of any kind of sealed hydraulic system.
And that's it, guys. That's how you hook it back in. So this is ready for the road, guys. This Yukon should be able to roll from here to California.
Alright, so I do want to apologize on this remaining part of this video. I'd run out of storage room. I didn't realize that I did. Again, I'm kind of new to all this, so that was kind of a learning curve. I didn't think about that. But end all be all, after we got done bleeding the brakes down, more or less put the wheel back on. I had the customer get in the vehicle, crank it up, pump the brakes down and everything, take it on a little bit of a test run to make sure that the brakes were working properly, wasn't no lockup or spongy brakes or anything like that. I will be putting out another video to finish that particular tutorial on how to do that part of the process. It's really not difficult, but you will typically need more than one person to do it. So with that being said, you know, again, I apologize for running out of memory and not being able to complete that in total video. And just a reminder, if you do like what I'm putting out so far, don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, you know, I'm just kind of getting started in this, so you know, you guys give me a hand here, get me out there. I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of people out there that could use this information, especially if they don't have the ready, you know, or readily available funds to be able to, you know, just come see someone like me, or even put their vehicle in a shop. And you know, this is also to help people to learn how to do this kind of stuff on their own, so they're not, you know, stuck out without a vehicle really unnecessarily. So again, you know, like I said, put me out there, like and subscribe, and you know, hopefully keep watching my videos.